Ah, it's nice to be back on Victory Monday, isn't it? Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. The Bears are 1-0. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun the whole time, but they got it done, and now we're on to Houston. Welcome into the show. Lots to get into, including a Rome Odunze injury note. Put a video out a few hours ago on that. So still kind of waiting. Not sure if we'll hear anything new today, but we'll kind of rediscuss all of that. But in the meantime, shout out your city. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Cullen is 5-0 on Bears watch party. Swept the preseason. Got it done in week 1. Official statement for this blazing start as the Bears Now Live producer.
I mean, we're going to keep this thing on rolling, man. Let's let it ride, brother. Feeling good in terms of being 5-0, but we're not satisfied there. You know, we're going to end a lot of streaks this year. We're sweeping the Packers. I've said it once. I've said it again. And we're making the playoffs this year, man. So I'm here for it.
Big game Sunday night against the Houston Texans. Hopefully some improvements for the offense, but a win is a win, and you move on and get ready for the next game. We got Scott in Colorado Springs, Chris in Jefferson, Iowa, Tito in Chicago. We got Robert Smith in Chicago, Trump in Tampa, Marcus in Chicago, Jason in Newark. We got Trevor in Grand Rapids, Streamwood, North Hollywood, California from Tommy, Palm Bay, Florida from Bob, Jacob in Milwaukee. We got Ken in Winnipeg, Ramirez in Fort Worth, Texas. What's up, Ramirez? We got JJ in Brownsville. We got Lacora in Rome. Let's see. Yeah, I know. We're hoping Rome's okay, Lacora. Roscoe, Illinois from Armofo. We got Ignite in Fort Moore, Georgia. Burbank, California is where RT is tuning in from. So you guys are all over the place. Lake of the Ozarks. I love the show Ozark. Great show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. All right. Are you guys concerned at all about Caleb Williams? Yes or no? Y for yes, N for no. Obviously didn't have a great debut, but it's one game. He got the dub. I think it's probably too early to say you're concerned. Could you be concerned that maybe things aren't going to start as fast as we hoped? Sure, but overall, concerned, yes or no? Craig says no. One Way says yes. Ed says yes. Chuck and Tim say yes. Braxton says no. RT and Jerome say no. So does Scott. Ken says yes. Pretty 50-50 in the chat. Kevin says no. Craig says no. Lawrence says he needs time. Very true. Amma says yes. Robert says no. Tim and Kevin say no. Jerome says no. Andrew says just wait a few games. Too early from Marcus. Yeah, I agree. Colin, I think we got to give this some time. And I think, some film study people, yada, yada, there's some subjectivity to all that. I think Caleb, a lot of the time, was making the right decision. He just had a weird accuracy issue day, which that's not really a weakness of his. So that makes me feel better because it's like when you talked about his pros and cons coming out of college, it wasn't like, oh, he misfires on a bunch of throws. Like, I felt like yesterday he misfired on a bunch of throws. So, like, if he just delivers the ball accurately, it should be fine. Like, the cover 2 beater, right decision, just overthrows him. There was a couple balls that he just skipped over the middle. Guys were open. Like, if you just put it on him, like, that easily, a couple balls deflected at the line because Coleman Shelton's getting pushed back. Like, that 14 of 29, I feel like easily could have been like 18 or 19 of 29. Keenan's dropping a touchdown. Like, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a good debut, but he only really kind of put the ball in harm's way once. Took care of the ball. I think for the most part made good decisions. He just kind of had an erratic day throwing the football.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you definitely could feel the nerves that he was probably feeling during the game.
For sure.
He missed Keenan down the sideline wide open.
That's the one I'm talking, the cover 2 beater.
The cover 2 beater. Even the DeAndre Carter slot. Oh, my good. Slot fade, thank you.
He had a step, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little better coverage, but if it's a good throw, it's going to be caught. So.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, if Keenan would have caught that touchdown, right, that's one more completion, add a touchdown, we're maybe having different discussions because, he finally gets that monkey off his back of throwing his first NFL touchdown. So, look, yeah, was it great? No, but also in the fact, too, how many screenplays were called in those first 2 drives?
And
like
none of them were even had a chance. Not only to not go anywhere, but to even get off.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not going to freak out here. Again, I'm not sitting here acting like, oh, my God, we have something major to build off of. But I've seen it could have been worse is all I'm saying. Like, he could have gone out there and thrown 3 picks, and the Bears could have got blown out. I thought mentally he stayed in the game. He didn't waver in the game and, had a couple plays down the stretch. Had a nice scramble to extend a drive, which helped chew some clock. So there were little things to build off of. But obviously, at the same time, if you're going to have a chance to beat the Texans, he's clearly going to have to play better. Yeah. And maybe playing on the road, he'll play a little more loose as an underdog. Like, no one's going to pick the Bears to beat the Texans this week. No. So I think that could play in there as well. No, we'll get to your super chat in a minute, but first we got to talk about our sponsors. That is Rocket Money to kick things off here. And listen, if you're like me, got a wife, got a mortgage, got a kid, got to be smart with your spending. Rocket Money is going to help you stay on top of your finances. It is a personal finance app that will find and cancel any subscriptions you no longer want. It'll help you get rid of or negotiate to lower your bills by up to 20%. A lot of other benefits as well. You can check your credit score, set budgets. They'll send you updates throughout the month. Just an awesome app. Go check it out, rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Cullen's going to get that link in the chat for you guys. Also, Prize Picks. I made some money in week 1. You guys should make some in week 2 throughout the month of September. Caleb Williams, more or less, passing yards set at half. Even if he struggles, he's going to throw for at least a yard every week. So check out Prize Picks. 2 to 6 player entries. Choose more, choose less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Get the deal. $50 bonus once you play for $5 when you sign up at PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Place your first entry, $5. You're going to get a $50 bonus regardless if you win or lose. It's awesome. I love Prize Picks. It's a lot of fun. Daily fantasy made easy. Go check it out. Okay, how concerned, this is the news of the day, are you guys with Rome Odunze's injury? If you missed it, scale of 1 to 10, by the way, we can talk about this for a little bit here. Matt Eberflus announced earlier today that Rome Odunze is set for an MRI. I would assume that's taken place already. It's 5 o'clock Central Time now. I'm guessing that happened a few hours ago. He said we'll have more Wednesday, and the reason he's saying Wednesday, that's when the first injury report is due. So we'll see if it leaks before then. We'll see if Rappaport or Schefter, one of these guys, get their hands on this information. But for now, we don't know anything as of yet. I'll get a few shout-outs, and then we'll talk about this a little more. Scythe Gaming says 3 to 5. You can go vote on the poll, too. I kind of sectioned it out, 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 10. Astro says 10, Lucas says 9, Nathan says 3 to 5, Ricky 7, Lucas 9, Jerome 3 to 5. Yeah, I mean, look, the clip of the play where Velus gets squeezed into the back of his leg and it kind of bends, it didn't look great. I think you're probably hoping it's a sprain or less. Like if it's the Jordan Love sprain, maybe he misses 3 weeks or something like that, but certainly not ideal. I mean, you look at this wide receiver group. Luckily, you have 2 veteran studs in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Both those guys were a little nicked up. Matt Eberflus said they should both be fine, but obviously noteworthy there. Tyler Scott should be ready to rock. I mean, if Rome misses time, that's a great opportunity for Tyler Scott to potentially emerge as a legitimate player here. Where does DeAndre Carter and Velus fit into the fold? I think a guy, like Colin Johnson, who looked good in the Hall of Fame game, he's a big body receiver like Rome, obviously different skill set, but, I was kind of advocating for him after that game to make the team and be Rome's primary backup. Maybe you elevate him for a couple games. We'll see, but obviously something noteworthy here. I mean, this could potentially – I don't want to act like the season's hanging in the balance, but – they'll definitely miss him if he misses some time.
Yeah, I mean, he, for not getting that many targets on Sunday, I mean, he came up with one of the biggest plays of the day when the ball got batted in the air and he was able to go up and get it and secure it for the Bears in the red zone. So, listen, and you want also him to build a rapport. You want to see what he looks like, as the season progresses, to see what you do with Keenan Allen and his foot injury. So, I completely agree. I think Colin Johnson would be the guy out of the practice squad that I would bring up if that's the move the Bears decide to do. We talked about it a lot during the preseason. He just provides a different element that this receiving room doesn't have, so I think that could be a really interesting fit in this offense.
He's a physical player that's a willing blocker. He had some nice special teams plays. If he's healthy, that seems like a natural elevation there if Rome Odunze misses time. All right, let's get to know Palencia. Then our good pal Michael Horowitz has made his presence felt. He says Caleb's a rookie. He's going to live and learn. Exactly. Got to give this some time.
Michael Horowitz. Boom!
He says Tyler Scott is a stud. Colin Johnson expected to be activated for Sunday Night Football. If Rome's out this week, even if Colin's not moved to the 53, remember, practice squad guys can be elevated up to 3 times. I would actually be surprised if he wasn't. Like, if Rome's out this week, I think it's a pretty safe bet, assuming Johnson's healthy now, which it was reported that he is. He will be elevated for this game. Tyler Scott would be active as well, so I'm excited. Michael, you're a real one. You get another sticker on our new Helmet Hall of Fame here. Mike Horowitz, man. And Michael,
what a legend.
I have to tally the most largest super chat donations from yesterday, but you might have been our MVP as well. So if you are, you'll get the week 1 MVP football. So be on the lookout for that potentially as well. And let me check this real quick. But yeah, I like Colin Johnson. He proved last year he can play on game days, be a good blocker, and you can throw him the football as well. So I would make that move if he's healthy and if Rome's going to miss some time. Speaking of this game, who you got? Type CHI for the Bears, HOU for the Texans. I'll have my full preview and prediction later on this show. A little teaser there. I'm not going to give my prediction right now. CHI for the Bears, HOU for the Texans. I will say this right now. You're going to have to get more out of your offense. Now, I think there's an opportunity to do that, even though Houston's a better team than Tennessee, because the biggest weakness for the Bears was the Titans' biggest strength, interior protection versus interior pass rush. Like T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons just had a field day. Even Tevin Jenkins struggled. So, the Texans have good pass rushers, Colin, but they're on the edge. Darnell Wright had a good week 1 game. Braxton Jones wasn't great, but he was good enough. Like, I'd rather, and for a young quarterback especially, you'd rather face pressure from the edge than right up in your face. So if the interior holds up better this week, I think that could lead to more success for Caleb Williams, especially when he's throwing the ball over the middle, because some of those batted balls, like, sure, he's 6'1", he's not the tallest quarterback, but when your interior guys are being driven back, you're closer to the quarterback, it's easier to get your hand up and knock those down, which happened on another play, which would have been a touchdown. Ernest Jones brought a linebacker blitz. It wasn't picked up. Keenan Allen's open on a slant, and the ball gets knocked down. So I'm hoping from that standpoint it's actually a better matchup, but regardless, the offense is going to have to play better.
Yeah, and that's not to say that the Texans can't, stunt Hunter and stunt, other players to kind of maybe attack the inside.
And I would expect, especially with Hunter, they'll probably try to do that.
Yeah, so, it'll be interesting to see how they show up. Again, we'll talk about it more, but maybe get the tight ends involved, really.
I would use more 12 personnel.
I would too. And, this is one of those things that we kind of talked about. We've, wondered why this guy is on the roster. Travis Homer's great in pass protection. So he could see potentially a large snap count in this one if it gets out of control and they just kind of need a body back there. So something to look out for.
They got to figure out and we'll talk about this as well. Like, what is the running back rotation after Swift? Because I still don't know. It was very confusing in the opener on Sunday. Bears goated, appreciate the 5. He says if Darrell Taylor keeps this up, defense has potential to be the best in the league. Best in the league is tough to say, but, top 5 is very much on the table. And I kind of said that. If a secondary pass rusher emerges, Javon Dexter, DeMarcus Walker had 5 pressures. He was great too. Like, you got good production out of your other guys beyond Montez Sweat, who had 3 pressures in this game. So I'm with you. Like, if you get good pass rush, the back 7 can go with anyone. So it's on the table. It's hard to say the best, but top 5, I think you'd be in that conversation. All right, our September Boom Club is here, and Michael Horowitz is leading the way. Whoever wins this challenge gets the most booms this month. $100 super chat gets you a boom. If you send in a $200, that's 2, etc. You will get a signed Rome Odunze helmet at the end of the month. Horowitz leading the charge. So there you go. By the way, just a heads up for whoever wins, the Odunze helmet, it's kind of on delay, so it might be like November before it gets sent to us, but whoever wins will still get it. It'll just be a little bit later. We just found that out from the person sending it to us, so be patient on that. But plenty of time. Horowitz is he's a tough challenge, Cullen, but I think Bears fans could be up to the challenge.
They should be, man. And, look, we know what Horowitz is about. We know what he's going to bring every time we're here and every day. He's here to bring it. So this is kind of just like open season, hey. If you want to challenge him, it's out there, man.
There you go.
The gauntlet's been set.
All right, here we go. We got a busy show coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. 5 adjustments Shane Waldron can make from week 1 to week 2. Live Q&A. We'll take some questions. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. Bears, Texans, week 2 preview. Early in the week. Might do a late in the week 1 as well. We'll see. But we got that straight ahead as well. Before we get to the Waldron segment, let's get a couple Super Chats in here. Jacob Seveni says, Anderson said Wright was toughest matchup in college. Yeah, Darnell Wright shut down Will Anderson 2 years ago when Tennessee played Bama and won that epic game, like 52-49 or whatever it was. Darnell Wright looked good in week 1. He kind of had a slow start to camp, but he's probably your best offensive lineman yesterday, so I like how he's progressing. Lucas Prang says, my overreaction from yesterday is that the Bears are still a year away from playoff contention, but it's a long season. Look, they might be, but you're 1-0. Found a way to win a game you probably shouldn't have, and if you get a couple of those throughout the season, that helps you go a long way.
Just a quick bit of NFL news that just came in about 8 minutes ago. Kadarius Toney signing with the Cleveland Browns.
Ah, yes, he's back. I'm sure that'll save Deshaun Watson.
There we go.
That'll salvage Deshaun Watson's career. God, that guy is a joke. Okay. All right, you guys ready to go? Hit that like button if you're ready to kick off this show. And we're going to start with Mr. Shane Waldron, 5 adjustments that he must make from week 1 to week 2. Shane Waldron needs to make these 5 adjustments going from week 1 to week 2 as the Bears take on the Texans this week. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Certainly not the offensive debut for Waldron or Williams that they were looking for, but hey, you got away with it. You got the win. Now it's time to adjust. That's what the good coaches in this league do. We'll see if Shane Waldron can do it this week. I got a few suggestions for him. Grade Shane Waldron's Bears debut. A, B, C, D, or F. It's probably a failing grade, right? D or F, I mean, you didn't turn the ball over, so there's something to be said for that. But other than that, I don't see how you could give it a very good grade whatsoever. So A, B, C, D, or F, it's got to be a D or F if you're asking me. All right, 5 adjustments. Number 1, get Caleb Williams on the move. I think just where he's at right now with some of the offensive line question marks, I think he's just more comfortable on the move right now. Now, obviously, you can't call design boots every play, but work a few more in there. Work 4 or 5 in there into the game plan. Encourage him to bail if he doesn't like what he sees. Now, obviously, you want him to stick in the pocket and deliver the football when the protection holds up, but listen, if your center and right guard are going to be driven back some, left guard too, Tevin didn't have a great game. Should be better against the Texans, better matchup, but still, be willing to play to Caleb Williams' strengths, and that is throwing on the run. Obviously, you can't do it every play, but I think manipulating the pocket more is something I would try to do if I was Shane Waldron. Number 2, play Cole Kmet more. One thing that really stood out to me was how little Cole Kmet played. You paid him 4 years and $50 million or whatever it was last year, and he's getting out-snapped by Gerald Everett in a game where your offensive line is struggling. I got news for you. Gerald Everett's not a blocking tight end. Cole Kmet is a good blocker and a good receiving tight end. Mercedes Lewis in a game that you struggled to protect only played 9 snaps. Why is he not on that one play, by the way, where they tried to seal block with Kari Blasingame on the backside? That should be Mercedes Lewis. There was just a lot of weird personnel things that Shane Waldron did in the opener that I quite frankly didn't like. And in the preseason, we saw a lot of 12 and 13 personnel with guys like Tommy Sweeney and Brendan Bates and Steven Carlson being effective. I get it, different competition, but like schematically it worked. I think you got to bring some of that back into the offense. Get the big fellas out there, get the tight ends in the game, 12, 13 personnel, and it starts with Kmet. He's one of the leaders on this team. He's one of the better players on this team. I'm not acting like this is Travis Kelce or anything, but he blocks well in the run game. We know he catches the ball well. 1 catch for 4 yards, 7 less snaps than Gerald Everett. I like Gerald Everett. I think he should have a role in this team. Not a bigger role than Cole Kmet. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So give me more 12 and 13 personnel, which, by the way, you can play both these guys together. You don't have to go 4 and 5 wide all the time. You should do some of that because Caleb did that a lot in college, get him into a rhythm. But I also think these heavier personnel packages to help with protection, that's the type of personnel, too, when you can do those play-action boots. You can help seal edge with Chip with the tight end, then he flares out into the flat, easy completion. Get Caleb into a rhythm that way. I think that's just what Waldron's good at. He likes multi-tight end packages. That's why I was surprised at some of the week 1 game plan, to be quite frank. So that is something I'd be looking for this week if I was advising Shane Waldron, which I am. So hopefully he's watching. All right, Rocket Money. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's show. It's a personal finance app that will find and cancel any unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, I can see all of my subscriptions on one screen. And first thing I noticed when I got going with the Rocket Money app is how much I'm spending per month on subscriptions. You probably think it's like $50, $75, maybe $100 if you splurge. No, it's probably $250, $300. I mean, think about all the things we sign up for, streaming services, all these different deals, like The Athletic, all this stuff. And a lot of it's cool, but a lot of the time I use it for 3 months, then I don't use it for 6, and I'm like, why did I waste $75 over the last 6 months? You can hit the cancel button next to any subscriptions you no longer want. Rocket Money will serve as a middleman and cancel that subscription for you. You don't have to deal with the back and forth customer service. If you use the Rocket Money app to its full potential, you can save over $700 per year. So download the app today, rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. I'm going to redirect you to your app store. Download the app and get started today. It's an awesome financial app. Just to, even if you're not looking to, cancel subscriptions or anything, it's just a cool app. It's going to categorize your spending. It can help you set budgets. It's just very financially savvy and friendly for, a basic financial person. It simplifies it for you. So check it out. Link is in the comments and description. It's rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. All right, number 3, stick with the running game. Obviously, if you hand the ball off 5 plays and get -8 yards, try something else. But I thought early in the game against Tennessee, especially on that first drive, Swift had 2 carries for 12 yards at one point, and I get it. That fell back to 8 carries for 6 yards because later in the game they started to get pushed back. But he's getting some chunks early, and you just stop doing it. I get it. I'm saying a lot here. You're trying to get Caleb into a rhythm, but it's okay if you're getting 6-yard chunks with DeAndre Swift to say, yeah, let's force them to stop that before we just throw the ball. The opening drive, 6 yards on first down, wide receiver screen for 1, 3rd and 3, incomplete pass. Why not just run it again on 2nd down or even 3rd and 3? I didn't understand that. And I think it's twofold. One, you got to figure out this running back rotation after DeAndre Swift. That has to be handled. I still don't know what it is. Is Travis Homer the number 2? Based on the snaps he is. Is Velus Jones ahead of Khalil Herbert? Is Roschon Johnson not in the fold? I don't know. And number 2, don't abandon the run game. You still do have a rookie quarterback at the end of the day. You want to be balanced. And guess what? If you run the football effectively, it's going to help your quarterback out. All right, who should be RB2, by the way? Type KH if you think it should be Khalil Herbert. Type TH if you think it's Travis Homer. VJ if you think it's Velus Jones. RJ if you want it to be Roschon Johnson. It's tough because I think Herbert's probably the most reliable runner. Homer's the most reliable pass protection guy. Roschon is kind of a hybrid of the guy you can dump it down to and pass protect. And Velus Jones is the most explosive, but do you just trust the guy? I mean, that's tough too. So I think you got to figure that out because let's be real. You can't have a 3-4-5 running back rotation. It's really a 1-2 punch, and then maybe there's a third guy that has a small role. Ideally, it's Swift, your number 2 guy, whoever it is, and then Homer's your pass protection guy. Like, that's probably what you're looking at this point. If that's not going to be Roschon, and he was inactive week 1, so who knows moving forward. But that's an area they got to clean up and figure out. All right, subscribe to Bears Now. We'll be live for every single game this season. 5-0 in the watch parties this year, so let's keep it rolling here. 4-0 in the preseason, 1-0 in the regular season. Tough one on Sunday night. Turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we go live against the Houston Texans. All right, a couple more here. Stop rotating up front on the offensive line. I don't know if it was a conditioning issue. I don't know if they're just tired of Nate Davis. I don't know if they have this love fest for Ryan Bates. Clearly, Ryan Poles likes him. He's tried to get him on this team for 2 years. But pick a 5 and roll with it for a couple weeks. Like, I know on my overreactions video, I was like, should you bench Coleman Shelton? I think it's too premature. If it's this 5, if it's Bates at center and Davis at right guard, if it's Bates at right guard and Davis on the bench, I don't really care at this point. Pick 5 and let's roll. Obviously, if a guy's giving up 4 sacks in a game, you're going to have to bench him. But you got to get some continuity. This continues to be a problem. And by the way, I've been as hard on Nate Davis as anybody. He graded out as your best interior offensive lineman per PFF. PFF's subjective, not saying it's the end-all be-all, but Tevin Jenkins didn't have a great game. Obviously, he's going to start, but that's worth saying. Coleman Shelton struggled. Bates didn't perform as well as Davis. So, again, I don't care who the 5 are. I know who the tackles are. I know Tevin's at left guard. Figure out center and guard. Pick 2 guys. Let's at least give it a couple weeks. Stop this rotation crap, and let's go. Let's see if you can build some continuity, because if you keep shuffling in and out, like, injuries pop up. That's one thing. Don't shuffle if you don't have to. That's all I'm saying here. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I think this rotation crap, like, if you're rotating at guard, you're kind of telling me you don't love either option. So pick somebody. All right. Don't force the screen game. Just don't. And listen, I'm not saying you can't ever call a screen. All good offenses have a good screen game. But you know what? If you go to a similar concept screen multiple times, and it not only is it not getting you many yards, it's being covered up because you can't complete it because they're sniffing it out. Maybe don't keep going back to the well. I mean, Waldron tried that play action kind of boot to the right, screen back left at least 3 times. Caleb had no chance on any of them. Like, it wasn't there. I want the Bears to have a screen game because it's an easy way to find chunk plays. But if it's not working, it's not working. Sorry. Like, you gotta have another tool in the toolbox there. So I get it. It's an easy way to get easy completions for your quarterback, but you can't just beat a dead horse. I mean, Caleb's getting sacked because there's guys in his face and the running back's not open because they're sniffing it out. So that can't keep happening. If it's not there, it's not there, and find something else to go to. All right, those are my 5 adjustments for Shane Waldron, shifting from week 1 to week 2. Not just like Caleb, I'm not going to bail on Shane Waldron after 1 week, but I didn't think it was a very good debut, if I'm being completely honest. I'm Harrison Graham. Be sure to subscribe for more Bears videos. Were you hearing those pops?
Yeah, I was too.
Okay, all right.
I think it was whenever I don't know if it was like you moved your wire or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but...
Sorry about those pops. There's been like the occasional issue with this cord, but hopefully it's okay now. Abdullah with the super chat, appreciate it. Is this just a sticker here? Red down arrow with the words here. Appreciate that. Thanks for all donations. We appreciate it. Helps us grow tremendously. Do you guys think the Bears can beat the Texans? Like, it's okay to be honest. If you don't think they can right now, and if you said that, I would say, oh man. All right, I'm going to unplug real quick. Call in if you want to talk to these guys. I'll try and unplug and replug.
Alrighty. All right, we'll wait for Harry to get back here in a second. Do you guys think the Bears can beat the Texans? All right, I got a lot of no's, some yeses. Kevin saying yes, Ricky saying no, Christian saying no. Harrison's just updated the live poll. Shout out to him. Let's see. Drew saying, I think we have a good chance. I mean, listen.
It's the NFL.
It is the NFL. Any given Sunday, right?
It's not like they're talentless.
That's definitely
That's
your
not
cord.
the issue.
Here, I'm going to...
Well, I'm unplugged.
No, it's still picking up, though. Or it was until I just muted. I don't know. It may be something with the board. I don't know. Apologize for you guys if you heard that.
Could it be the producer mic?
I don't think so. Because it was literally, it was going red right here. See this button?
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, because you would have been muted during the segment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. All right. There's a chance. Yes, Caleb has to play his best, though. Absolutely. Caleb cannot have that performance that he had against Tennessee and expect to beat Houston. There's no doubt about it. Houston is, in my opinion, a top 5 Super Bowl contender. I'd imagine Harry would agree. They got to be on their P's and Q's. But yes, it is very interesting. Just hope it's close from Joe. Yeah, I hope it's close too, man. I'm looking forward to a good game. Wesley saying 30-14 Texans. I mean, possible. It's definitely possible. Just let me know whenever you're good, and I'll unmute you or whatever. So, FGB from Chi-Town rep, always, brother. Offensive line won't allow it. I mean, that's also a fair point.
All right. Hopefully we can get through this show here. Figure this out after live. I mean, look, this is what I'm hoping for, Colin. Get to the fourth quarter with the chance. Like, I'll be pretty pleased if you get to the fourth quarter with the chance to win this game. It's on the road. Texans are a high-level team. I think you're hoping to be what the Texans were last year, right? Be a team that makes the playoffs. If you can win a game, that's awesome. And then next year, you're hoping to be a Super Bowl contender like the Texans seem to be this year. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm going to do my preview in a minute. I'm not crazy optimistic about this game. I just think Houston is damn good, and I think, the offense might take a few weeks to mesh a little bit. So, but it's a new game. NFL's a matchups game. Sometimes you match up better with teams that are better than the weaker opponents. Who knows? All right. Couple super chats, and then we'll get this rolling. FGB, RIP, James Earl Jones. I saw that. Yeah, what's he, like 93? Yeah, it's tough.
RIP, man.
Tough one. Abdullah, appreciate the super sticker once again there. So, yeah, interior O-line must improve. No doubt about it. All right, hashtag Bears or super chat. You guys see it right there. It is mailbag time. Hashtag Bears or super chat. Yeah, it'd be nice if they had a better center. It's a legit criticism of Poles. He's tried to patchwork the center position year after year, and if it goes poorly this year, you almost have no choice but to invest in one next year, whether it's drafting one high or signing one in free agency. You can't get this level of play anymore. Like, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it kind of is. It's like it's staring you in the face. The center play has not been good. Are you going to address it or not? Because they haven't done it. And, I was in the camp of Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton should be better options than Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick. Well, Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick suck. So, being better than those guys isn't some big accomplishment. So, I think it's got to be an area they look to improve next offseason.
Yeah, and I mean, they could have this offseason. Connor Williams was out there, man.
Lloyd Cushenberry, they just faced him. Titans paid him a lot of money, but I kind of don't blame him. He that position starts to play. I feel like teams undervalue center. It's like this guy starts to play. A lot of them line up make the checks for the offensive lineman. I'll say this: I don't think the Chiefs are regretting drafting Creed Humphrey and paying him big money. I mean, they're like, oh yeah, you're the best at it, so we're just gonna keep you around here for 4 more years. So yeah, I gotta be pretty critical of Poles there. They've done a poor job when it comes to the center position. All right, a few more questions. Hashtag Bears or super chat. We'll get this mailbag rolling. If you super chat, you can skip the line. Let's get it popping here on Chicago Bears Now. Let's kick off this Bears mailbag from King Bear 24. If Rome Odunze's injury is serious, could the Bears sign Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas is still out there, King Bear. I think he's out there for a reason. I think that's got to be mentioned. He was okay last year in the 10 games he played, which, as sad as it is, 10 games is one of the healthier seasons he's had in the last 4 or 5. He was a complimentary type of piece, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 type of player for New Orleans. But if you average that out over 17 games, I mean, what is that, about 700 yards and change? I mean, that's a decent year. But for one, he is just an injury machine. 47 missed games since the start of 2020. I mean, 2020 was the last year of 16 games, so 16 plus 51, 68. He's played in 21 of 68 games the last 4 years. I mean, you're available like less than a third of the time. So you have to acknowledge that. And quite frankly, look, if for some reason Rome was out for the season, yeah, like I could see them signing a free agent. But if it's like a month or even like 6 weeks, obviously you got DJ and Keenan still. Tyler Scott wasn't even active in week 1, so he'd be a guy who would have a bigger role. Still have DeAndre Carter and Velus Jones. And you got a couple of guys in the practice squad, including Colin Johnson, who I really like. So I think you could get by with what you have. But sure, if it's a major injury, maybe you consider adding a free agent. But for now, I don't think a big move would happen. What say you? If the injury is serious, would you sign Michael Thomas? Type S for sign or P for pass. Depending on when you're watching this, we could have more clarity on the Rome injury. But regardless, you guys let me know, would you sign Michael Thomas or not? Wasim Khan, Taylor or Van Pran, which would you have drafted? I'm forgetting Taylor. Who's the center Taylor? I don't know. I know Cedric Van Pran. We mocked him to Chicago a bunch. He's not starting, so I don't know. Van Pran's not that athletic. That's part of the issue with him. So, Torrey Taylor. You're saying, like, would you have taken Van Pran instead of Torrey Taylor? If Van Pran can be a better starting center than what you have, probably him, but he's not starting. So, I think at least Taylor's a high-level starter. Now, say what you want about drafting a punter. There's certainly plenty to debate there, but is Van Pran better than your centers right now? Maybe down the road. Right now, probably not. Caden Gunvaldson, only 2 players touch the ball every play. Need a center. I agree. I'm not saying you have to have the best in the league, but you can't patchwork it together anymore. Tried it with Lucas Patrick. Didn't work. Tried to move Cody Whitehair back. Couldn't snap the ball. I mean, Coleman Shelton had a couple of decent years in L.A., but Sean McVay let him walk for a reason. Like, he's kind of just serviceable. Like, he's okay, but he goes up against one of these elite defensive tackles, you're in trouble. Papichulo sits, how many starts does Fields need to get the 4th? It's 51% of the snaps. It's actually not start dependent. 51% of the snaps. So he's played 100% so far through 1 game. So if you want to base it on starts, if he starts 8 more games, he should be there in theory. They won the game. I think they should stick with him. Like, what is Russell Wilson at this point to prove to you that you should make that switch back? I don't think Fields played great by any means, but he managed the game, ran pretty well. We know he can do that. And more importantly, took care of the ball. 0 turnovers. Like, if he plays turnover-free with Pittsburgh's defense, they're going to be in a lot of games. Like, there's value in that. And, like, is Russell Wilson going to elevate that team? I don't think so. So I think there's a decent chance that ends up being a 4th-round pick. Subscribe and join us every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock Central. That is the only time to be a part of these live mailbags. That's when we answer your questions live here on Chicago Bears Now, Monday, Thursday, 4 o'clock Central. Sometimes that time can change like it did this Monday. I went live a little bit later because of the Rome Odunze injury news. But, yeah, that's when you can get your questions in. So be sure to join us. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Are you looking to make some money this season? Are you looking to play daily fantasy sports? Look no further than Prize Picks. Football is back, and so is Prize Picks. I made some money to start the season, and you can too the rest of the way. The way Prize Picks work is simple. You select 2 to 6 players on any given Prize Picks lineup, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. It all takes less than a minute, and signing up takes less than a minute and a half. Through the month of September, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you halfway to a win on Prize Picks. If it is a 2-player entry, half a yard more or less, take the more, and you are good to go. Just 1 yard, good to go. This week, I love this play. Caleb Williams, you're going to get that check. And then Deshaun Watson, less than 220.5 passing yards. He stinks. I don't think he's going to be throwing for mid-200s much this year. So I like the less on Watson there. 10 to win 30 on this entry. And by the way, PrizePicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS, get you a $50 bonus once you place your initial $5 entry. Hell of a deal. Get an additional $50 regardless if you win or lose. It's PrizePicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS, to get that $50 bonus once you play for $5. Okay. Let's keep it rolling here. DC Viper, how concerned are you with how the offense played? Is this something to worry about if it is the same next week? I mean, it needs to be better next week. Now, does it need to go from terrible to awesome? No. Like, let's get some incremental steps here. Like, let's at least look more competent throwing the football, right? Let's protect a little better. Let's have a better game plan from Shane Waldron. Like, I'm not expecting this to go from one of the worst offenses in the NFL from the first week to one of the best, but can it be the 20th best offense in week 2? We'll see. You got good weapons, you got good pieces. Starts up front, and let's get Caleb into a rhythm a little bit. If it looks more of the same, yeah, be a little bit more worried. If more of those happen, the more worried you're going to get. It's only natural. Jacob, are you concerned with how little Waldron was getting the ball to Rome? I mean, yes, no. You got a lot of weapons. In general, you struggle to get into a rhythm, so it's hard to say. Keenan Allen and DJ were also getting open a decent amount of the time, so I'm not going to complain about feeding those guys. I mean, they're your top 2 guys right now, so that's just the reality of the situation. Obviously, Rome is banged up. Depending on when you're watching this, you may or may not know how long he's out. But, obviously you want Odunze to grow throughout the season, assuming he does play, and be a part of this offense. Predict the score of Bears versus Texans on Sunday Night Football. Who do you have winning, and what is the final score going to be? Check out our preview episode to get my official score prediction. John Orticelli, how concerned are you with the play of Coleman Shelton? I mean, he's just as bad as Mustipher was. I would not go there. He had a few really bad reps. Beyond that, I thought he was okay. I mean, Mustipher at times just looked confused. Now, listen, some of Shelton's bad reps were really bad, so I think that's why we're like, oh, God, this is a disaster. But it's kind of how Nate Davis is, too. Like, his bad reps are so bad that it's glaring. But, 80% of his snaps, like, okay, he was fine there. Not saying he's a world beater, but, it is what it is. I don't think he's that good, but you're hoping he cleans up the glaring errors and is at least serviceable to solid. Like that's what you're hoping for. If you got more questions that we didn't get answered here, find me on Twitter at HGramNFL. It's the same handle over on Instagram. DMs are open. Got to catch up on a few DMs following the Week 1 game, so apologies for that, but we will get caught up. It is at HGramNFL. All right, let's get some score predictions rolling in here.
We got Ron saying 42-10 Bears.
I mean, if that happens, that's quite the turnaround. B says 31-16, DC 37-14 Texans. See, I'll say this, Cullen. Unless the Bears start turning it over left and right, I don't think they're going to give up 35 points in this game. I think the defense can keep them in it. I mean, the Texans scored 29 on the Colts. I don't think anyone thinks the Colts offense or defense is better than Chicago's. So,
no.
I could they score 28-31? Sure, but 37-14? That probably means you had a couple turnovers.
Right.
If the Bears play clean offensively, I think you can hold them to the mid-20s. Mm-hmm. Question is, can you score in the mid-20s? I mean, that's if you're the Bears, you're trying I feel like 25 is the magic number. Can you score 25 points in this game? And if you can, that gives you a shot. Maybe you lose 28-26. Maybe you lose 31-24. But that mid-20s, that's probably the number I'm looking at here to realistic win this game. Because obviously the Texans are going to score. They're just too prolific not to. But I also don't think they're just going to be looking like the 0-2 Rams, and just score at will. It's the Bears are too talented defensively to not show any resistance. So the one thing Chicago's got to do better is stop the run earlier. Like, it took them a little while to do that against Tennessee. Joe Mixon had a huge week 1. But if they could slow him down, obviously Stroud's capable of carving you up. But any team that becomes one-dimensional, it's difficult. So 100%. Stop the run first and give yourself a chance.
Yeah, no, I think those are really good points. Take care of the football and also get C.J. Stroud off his spot. Because, I mean, obviously containing Joe Mixon in the run, that's going to be the main focus. But if you let C.J. Stroud just sit back
in the
there,
pocket.
I mean,
I'd be dialing up some blitzes, show him some different looks.
I mean, one of the biggest plays of the game from this past Sunday was Kyler Gordon coming in on a blitz, and Tyreek Stevenson was able to get a pick 6. So
thanks, Will Levis. That was a great play by you. Yeah, I mean, Stroud, if he's just sitting back there, you're going to be in trouble. The guys can only cover for so long. So I do think Flus is going to have to be a willing blitzer. We saw that in the second half against Tennessee, so I would expect that to continue. Poppy Chulo sits, who's your bounce-back player for Week 2? I mean, hopefully Caleb, right? To win Week 2, he's going to have to play better. Doesn't have to throw for 350, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say 93 passing yards isn't going to win this game.
No.
Call me crazy. But, right. Yeah, he's going to have to play better. I mean, Coleman Shelton, again, I don't expect him to be a world beater, but can he be better than he was? He's not facing a Tavondre Sweat or a Jeffrey Simmons this week.
No.
So you would think just based on competition he would play better. But, yeah, I mean, it starts with the center, then the quarterback. If those two guys take a jump this week, then in theory the offense should be more productive.
I think I'll go with Keenan Allen this week. I think he bounces back. I think he realizes, again, if he plays, we're going to see what his foot injury looks like the rest of the week. But if he plays, I think he's a competitor knowing, hey, he dropped the touchdown pass last week. He didn't have the greatest game.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Keenan to have a bounce-back game if he plays in Week 2.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. And listen, if Rome's out, then you need him and DJ to be ready to roll. So we'll see how it plays out. Cole Komet's another good one in the chat. To me, that's more of a Waldron thing. He didn't play him much. 27 snaps? I mean, Ryan Poles can't love that. I mean, he's paying him $12.5 million a year, not to be a 40% snaps guy. That's bizarre to say the least. All right, we'll get to my Bears-Texans preview here. Talk about who has the edge and how the Bears could win this game. Let's dive into it here on Chicago Bears Now. Can the Chicago Bears upset the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football? I'm going to tell you how they could if they accomplish these few things. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. Big game coming up on Sunday night. And listen, you're 1-0. Doesn't matter how you get there. Let's get to 2-0. If you want that to happen, hit that like button. Don't jinx it. Don't be the guy who forgot to like the video. And if the Bears lost, you're like, God, if I would have just hit the like button, the scientists tell me that's how it works. So hit that like button. Let's try to get to 2-0. And with that being said, preview time. So the Bears set to go to NRG Stadium down in Houston this Sunday night. And listen, they're fairly a big underdog. 6.5 points in the NFL is quite a bit. Over-under set at 45.5. So they're basically saying 26-20, 27, or 25-19, something in that range. And I think that's fair. I mean, listen, the Texans almost dropped 30 on Indy, and the Bears struggled offensively against the Titans at home. So I think the line is more than fair. We'll see how it plays out, obviously. We'll get to my keys and all that stuff. You look at the Bears, too. Rome Odunze, we'll see what his status is. We're filming this on Monday, so we could have more information as we get closer to game day, obviously, and depending on when you're watching this. But I would guess he's going to miss at least 1 week. Keenan Allen, Roschon Johnson, Zach Pickens, Karan Amagaji. Pickens was inactive last week. Allen played, but he's been dealing with kind of a nagging foot issue. Roschon was inactive. We'll see what his status is. So is Karan Amagaji as well. All right, let's see who's got the edge here in this matchup. Head coach, you'd have to say Texans, right? I think Matt Eberflus is an okay coach. He knows defense, obviously, really well. He's done a good job of getting this defense going the last year and a half. But you're telling me you wouldn't take D'Amico Ryans over him? I would. He took a team that won 3 games and went to the playoffs the next year. So I think you'd have to give Houston the edge there. Quarterback, Texans, C.J. Stroud, reigning Rookie of the Year, had a really good season last year, balled out in Week 1. Caleb Williams has played one game in the NFL, and he didn't look that good. I think long term, Caleb's got a good chance to be a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud, but I would be what's the word I'm looking for? I'd be dishonest if I said Caleb's got the edge here at this point in their careers. It's just not honest. So clearly, quarterback advantage goes toward Houston right now. Skill guys offensively, I'll say push. Obviously, Rome status throws a wrench into that, but Texans have a big three of receivers. Bears do as well. DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, I think are kind of in the same tier of running back. Tight end, Houston's got Dalton Schultz. Bears have Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. I think it's pretty even. I think skill position-wise, it's pretty even overall, so I'll go push there. Offensive line, I'll lean Texans. They have some issues up front, but Laramie Tunsil's an all-pro left tackle. They have a couple other guys in the interior I like as well. I don't think it's a great unit, but when you have an elite player, I don't know if the Bears have a single elite offensive lineman. Tevin Jenkins is pretty good, really good for the most part. Wasn't good in Week 1. Darnell Wright's coming along. Don't know if he's quite there yet. I think you'd have to give the advantage to Houston. All right, we'll be live for a Bears-Texans watch party Sunday, 6 o'clock Central Time. We'll have an hour and change pregame show, get you ready for kick, so be sure to join us. And, of course, we'll have full live play-by-play reaction throughout the game. So rock and roll with us on Sunday night here on Bears Now. Defensive line, I'll go push. I think the Texans have more big names like they have Will Anderson, they have Danielle Hunter, but their interior guys, they don't really have big names, and people around the NFL may not know Trevon Dexter and Andrew Billings that well. Billings is a stud. He's super underrated, and Dexter had a good Week 1, so I think it's pretty even. You'd probably give the Texans a slight edge at the edge position, but the Bears still have Montez Sweat and Darrell Taylor balled out, so there's definitely a scenario where the Bears get more production out of their defensive line this week. Linebackers, I'd go Bears. Tremaine Edmonds, T.J. Edwards, really good Week 1s. I think it's one of the better duos in the NFL. Got good depth with Jack Sanborn, so I would go Chicago. Same with secondary. Derek Stingley's a stud for Houston, but even if you want to say he's close to Jalen Johnson, which I think Johnson's better, but let's even cancel those out. I think beyond that, it's advantage Bears. Tyreek Stevenson really growing as a player. Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard, really good safety combo. Kyler Gordon at nickel. I think the Bears have the better secondary and back seven in general with linebacker as well. And then special teams, I'll go push. Obviously, special teams unit was good in Week 1 other than Velus Jones's debacle, but Torrey Taylor punted the ball well. Kairos Santos is rock solid, but so is Kaimi Fairbairn in Houston, one of the better kickers in the league. DeAndre Carter had a good week. We'll see if that continues, but I think both these special teams units pretty even. It's early on. It's hard to say, so I'll go push in that regard. So listen, it was 3-2 Houston with 3 pushes, but when the quarterback and head coach are advantage Houston, it's kind of hard to not think they have the edge, right? Like on paper, playing at home, Caleb's second start, you'd be wise to pick Houston to win this game. Doesn't mean they're going to. Doesn't mean the Bears can't win this game and Caleb can't play better. It just means on paper the Texans are a better team right now. And I would have said that regardless of what happened in Week 1. The Texans are considered by many to be a Super Bowl contender. The Bears right now aren't quite that. So that's just me being objective here. Who you got in this one? CHI for the Bears, HOU for the Texans. Get your votes in down in the comment section down below. Who do you have winning this game? And coming up next, how the Bears can pull off the upset. I'll go through some categories, things that need to happen for Chicago to pull that up. But first, speaking of categories, Rocket Money will categorize your spending and help you stay on top of your overall finances. Check out Rocket Money today, a personal finance app that will also help you find and cancel any subscriptions that you no longer want. Most Americans think they're spending $60, $70 per month on subscriptions. The reality is it's probably closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars per year. Listen, we all have things in our life we're willing to pay for. Delivery services, streaming platforms, etc. But I guarantee you, if you download the Rocket Money app, sync up your bank account, and see all of your subscriptions on one screen, you're going to find at least a couple where you're like, really? I'm paying that much per month for that? I forgot I signed up for this. Because that's what happens, right? You try these trials. Oh, you got to check out this show, and it's some streaming service you didn't have before. You sign up, you watch the show, but then you forget about it, and you're clipped for $20 a month or whatever the case may be. Get going with Rocket Money. Cancel those subscriptions you no longer want. Stay on top of your spending, and set budgets, and they'll send you updates throughout the month. It's an awesome app. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Link is in the comments and in the description. They're going to really do a great job for you. And if you're like me, you got a mortgage, you got a kid, all that stuff, you got to stay on top of it. So get going with Rocket Money. It's RocketMoney.com/Bears now. All right, how the Bears could win this game. Well, number one, you got to win the turnover battle. And that's kind of coach speak, but I think it's true. And I think if you're a half-glass full guy with Caleb Williams, no turnovers against the Titans. Say what you want, he took care of the ball. Matt Eberflus said, that was the difference in the game. Our guy took care of the ball, their guy didn't. So if you can win the turnover battle, we know this Bears defense, really since the Montez Sweat trade, has been one of the best teams in the NFL in getting takeaways. If you can get a couple and play turnover free, even if they're more productive offensively, Houston, if you get a couple turnovers that turn into points, that can kind of even out the playing field. So I think that's pretty much a must if you're going to win this game. Number two, shorten the game. Now, I'm not saying be the Navy midshipman and run the ball 90 times and run the play clock down to 1 second every single time, but be effective running the football. Create some running lanes. Stick with it. I thought Waldron bailed on it too early in Caleb's first start. Control the clock a little bit. Again, I'm not saying go get 45 minutes of time possession, but if you can shorten the game by a possession or two against any high-powered offense, it's just simple math, right? Less time C.J. Stroud's on the field, less chance he gets to score. So if you can steal a possession or two in this game by running the ball effectively, that can go a long way. Number three, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but based on how the Texans looked week one, some vertical passing opportunities should be there. Anthony Richardson, you look at his stat line, it's like, this is a bizarre stat. He only went 9 for 19, but guess what? 9 completions for over 200 yards. What does that tell you? Chunk plays, vertical passing. And yeah, the one throw to Alec Pierce was crazy, but you can get behind this secondary a little bit. After Derek Stingley, they're a little susceptible to the deep ball. So I think if you can get that run game going and then set up some play action deep shots, I think you're going to get an opportunity or two. I would activate a guy like Tyler Scott for this game and dial up a couple of vertical shots. He looked good in camp doing that. So I think you can attack Houston deep, get some opportunities. If you can hit one or two, that's huge. Even if you're not consistently moving the ball possession to possession, you get a couple 40-plus yarders, that can change a game for you in your favor. Got to slow down Joe Mixon. The one criticism of the Bears' defense is they were a little sloppy stopping the run. Tony Pollard had a good day, so did Tyjae Spears. And Joe Mixon, in his Texans debut, shredded the Colts. 30 carries for $159. You give up a stat line like that, you just got no shot. Because if C.J. Stroud is getting that production out of his running back, it's hard to defend them passing-wise. I don't care how good your defense is. If Mixon's running the ball for 4, 5, 6 yards a chunk, you're going to get gashed. You got to shut that shit down. And I would expect that's a point of emphasis this week at Hall is slow down the run. Mixon's never really been a high yards per carry guy anyway. He's like around 4 for his career. Keep him in that 4 range. Don't get crazy and give up 8, 10-yard chunks all the time. And it sounds nuts, but make C.J. Stroud and them beat you. You got a great secondary. You're obviously going to give up some completions, but if they're balanced, then you basically got no chance. And then utilize Caleb Williams' legs. You know, if you guys, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, depending on when you're watching, the video may not be uploaded yet, but 5 adjustments Shane Waldron can make. One of them was get Caleb on the move. And I think it's 2 ways. One, it's in design, whether it's they did run one zone read where he got a few yards, boots on the edge, straight sprint outs, move the pocket, but also, like, encourage him to move. Like, he doesn't have to sit in the pocket. Like, what makes him great is when a play breaks down, he can make magic shit happen. So that is something I would like to see him do and have the Bears encourage in this game because it's something he's really, really good at. even at this point. Like, he can do that right now at a high level in the NFL. Predict the score of Bears versus Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston. I just gave you 5 things. If the Bears do them well, they at least have a shot to win this game. I think the Bears will play better, but I'm going to go with Houston here. I think they win and cover. I think the Bears fight, and they're scrappy, and they get into the fourth quarter with the chance but lose 24-16. This is a tough game. Like, Texans are a top 5 or 6 team in the NFL right now. Bears probably project out as a fringe playoff team through 1 week. That's just reality. You're hoping they get better, and if they do, I think they can be a good playoff team. But right now, it's a tough ask to go into Houston on Sunday Night Football. C.J. Stroud's rolling. That franchise is cooking to go win that game. I think the Bears fight. I think Caleb will play better, but I think the Texans win 24-16. All right, there you have it. Chicago Bears, Houston Texans preview. Sunday Night Football, we will be live for that game, so be sure to join us, 6 o'clock Central Time, and, of course, subscribe for more videos throughout the week. Bear down. All right.
Let's see. Did get a super chat, excuse me, from Emiliano. Said, I love Velas's effort after fumbling and kicking the ball to the opposing team running towards the ball. He's a great player. Also, I like cereal.
Look,
Kind of said it better myself, man.
In all seriousness, it's a shame because it's not like the guy doesn't care. I mean, he clearly does. It's just like he can't get out of his own way. It's got to be mental at this point. There's no other explanation. It's mental, and it's just some guys on this planet, Colin, just can't catch the ball consistently. A lot of those guys play defense because they don't have good hands. I mean, Jalen Johnson's he's gotten better, but, like, how many picks has he dropped in his career? Like 4 or 5? He dropped 2 last year. Week 1, I won't call that deep ball a drop where he was able to close in on it. He could have caught it, though. Like, some corners would have caught that one. So, listen, those guys play defense. Like, Velus Jones in another life probably could have been a badass safety because he's thick and he can run. And he could probably light you up. Maybe that's what he should have been. Who knows? But he doesn't, especially when the ball's in the air, whether it's a deep ball or a kick out of the sky, he does not track and catch the ball well. It's been proven time and time again. Just is what it is. All right. Colin and I are out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow with more videos, so be sure to subscribe and lock us in. Big week ahead as the Bears take on the Texans on Sunday night. See you soon.